The morning the bet was made began like any other, gray and heavy with the quiet exhaustion that had settled into Matthew Collins's life. Dawn crept over a small lakeside town in Minnesota, and Matthew was already awake, packing a school lunch with one hand while tying his work boots with the other. His world revolved around tight schedules, unpaid bills, and a 9-year-old son who believed his father was stronger than any superhero. Matthew had learned to carry responsibility like a second skin, but on that particular morning, something unexpected was about to ripple through his carefully balanced life and test not just his strength but his heart. If stories of kindness, second chances, and quiet courage matter to you, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. You never know whose life a simple act of support might touch. Matthew worked as a maintenance supervisor at a private athletic club just outside Duluth. The club catered to executives and wealthy families, a world far removed from Matthew's modest life. He had lost his wife years earlier to illness, and since then, every choice he made was for his son, Noah. The club's owner, a driven and highly competitive woman named Rebecca Whitmore, was known for her intense personality and her love of challenges. Rebecca believed deeply in proving limits wrong, whether in business or in life, and she admired discipline above all else. She noticed Matthew not because he spoke much, but because he never complained, even when asked to do the impossible. That week, the club was preparing for its annual charity triathlon, an event Rebecca personally sponsored. During a staff briefing near the Olympic-sized indoor pool, conversation turned to endurance and mental toughness. Rebecca, half joking but fully serious, proposed a challenge to motivate the team. She announced that if anyone on staff could outswim her in a full-mile endurance swim, she would grant them any reasonable request within her power. Laughter rippled through the room, because Rebecca was known as a formidable swimmer who trained daily. No one volunteered except Matthew. The room fell silent when he stepped forward. Matthew hadn't swum competitively in years, not since college, before life hardened him. But he still swam early mornings at the public lake, partly for fitness, mostly because the water was the only place his mind ever felt quiet. Rebecca raised an eyebrow, clearly amused but also intrigued. She accepted immediately, confident and energized by the challenge. To her, it was a game. To Matthew, it was a calculation born from necessity and hope. Training consumed Matthew's already stretched days. He woke earlier, slept less, and pushed his body through pain he had long ignored. Each stroke reminded him of why he was doing this. Not for pride, not for recognition, but for something he hadn't yet allowed himself to say out loud. The town buzzed quietly about the upcoming bet, though most people assumed the outcome was obvious. Rebecca Whitmore rarely lost anything she set her mind to. The day of the swim arrived, and the pool area filled with staff and a few invited guests. The water shimmered under bright lights, calm and indifferent to the stakes attached to it. Matthew stood at the edge, stretching his shoulders, thinking of Noah's small hands gripping his backpack every morning, and of the letters from the school he kept unopened on the kitchen counter. Rebecca entered confidently, focused and smiling, certain she was about to make a point about ambition and limits. The swim was relentless. Lap after lap, the rhythm of breath and movement erased the noise of the crowd. Halfway through, Rebecca surged ahead, powerful and precise. Matthew followed, steady and stubborn, refusing to let panic set in. His arms burned, his lungs screamed, but his mind stayed locked on one thought: keep going. Near the final stretch, something shifted. Rebecca slowed slightly, misjudging her pace, while Matthew found a second wind born entirely from resolve. He touched the wall seconds before she did. The silence afterward was stunned and complete. Rebecca pulled herself out of the pool, water streaming from her hair, disbelief written plainly across her face. She had lost, and she was not accustomed to that feeling. True to her word, she approached Matthew publicly and acknowledged the result. She asked him what he wanted, already preparing herself for a request involving money, promotion, or influence. What Matthew asked for shocked her. He didn't ask for a raise, a title, or personal recognition. Instead, he asked Rebecca to fund a permanent swimming and after-school program for children of single-parent families in the county, using the club's facilities during off hours. He explained that his son loved the water but had nowhere safe or affordable to swim year-round. He spoke about kids who waited alone after school while parents worked double shifts, and how a place like this could change the direction of their lives. He asked that the program be named after no one, simply offered quietly, without publicity. Rebecca stood still, the weight of the request settling over her. For the first time, the challenge she faced wasn't physical or financial, but moral. She had built her career on winning, yet here was a man who had won only to give the prize away. In that moment, something in her perspective fractured and reformed. She agreed, not out of obligation but out of respect. The weeks that followed transformed the club and the community. The new program launched quietly, but word spread fast. Children who had never learned to swim found confidence in the water. Parents found relief in knowing their kids were safe. Matthew volunteered as an assistant coach, watching his son laugh in a way he hadn't heard since before loss reshaped their lives. Rebecca visited often, not as an owner, but as a witness to something she hadn't known she was missing. Matthew's life didn't suddenly become easy. Bills still came, grief still lingered, and exhaustion remained a constant companion. But something fundamental had changed. He no longer felt invisible. He had proven, mostly to himself, that quiet perseverance could move mountains, or at least open doors others didn't even know were locked. As the year ended, the charity triathlon raised record funds, inspired by the story few people knew in full. Rebecca credited the success to teamwork, but privately, she credited one single father who had reminded her why strength mattered in the first place. Matthew never spoke publicly about the bet again. He didn't need to. Every time he watched children dive into the pool without fear, he felt the echo of that swim ripple outward, far beyond one victory. If this story moved you, if it reminded you of the power of selflessness and courage, please take a moment now to like this video, share it, and subscribe. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them most. Before the ending, we have one special request for you. Please comment below with the word kindness if you believe small sacrifices can change entire communities. In the end, Matthew Collins returned to his quiet mornings and steady routines, but with a deeper sense of purpose. He had accepted a bet and won far more than anyone expected, not money, not status, but a living reminder that sometimes the most shocking thing you can ask for is the chance to help others rise.